Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I was doing some sound work. Yeah, we had that mic plugged in, but I'm at this lectern.
You are so smart, Rabbi.
Last Shabbat, Rabbi Nosenchuk services there. So we had the feed in there, but I'm leading services here, so luckily I knew.
I'm glad it was your lectern, not mine.
Just in case people were wondering where I disappeared to underneath the lectern. Anyway, go ahead.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It's always a treat to be here with you, to worship with you, to share the pulpit again with Rabbi Caruso. You know, this is actually Shabbat Bereshit. And that is Bereshit means Genesis, basically. It's the first Shabbat of reading the Torah from the beginning again. And this Shabbat for clergy carries special meaning. It carries both the sense of relief, because all of the holidays are now concluded for another year, and it has the anticipation and excitement of starting again. And so I thought I would share with you a midrash. I read actually this week that the best way to explain a midrash is that it is a story about a story in the Bible. So this is a midrash. It's an interpretation, really, on the very first words of the book of Genesis, of the Torah. God created. Our whole story begins with, in the beginning, God created. And this is a midrash on those two words, God created. It happened that a heretic came to Rabbi Akiva and asked, "This world, who created it?" Rabbi Akiva replied, "The Holy One, blessed be God." The heretic said, "Show me clear proof." Rabbi Akiva replied, "Come back to me tomorrow." The next day, when the heretic came, Rabbi Akiva asked him, "What are you wearing?" The heretic replied, "A garment." Rabbi Akiva asked, "Who made it?" The heretic, "A weaver." "I don't believe you," said Rabbi Akiva. "Show me clear proof." The heretic, "What can I show you? Don't you know that a weaver made it?" Rabbi Akiva then asked, "And you, do you not know that the Holy One made the Holy One's world?" After the heretic departed, Rabbi Akiva's disciples asked him, "But what is the clear proof?" He replied, "My children, even as a house proclaims its builder, a garment its weaver, or a door its carpenter, so does the world proclaim the Holy One, blessed be God, that God created it." Shabbat Shalom.
Hello. Wonderful. It's exciting particularly for Jewish nerds to enjoy Genesis. We are at the beginning of the Torah, and that's something to truly celebrate. So I'm very giddy over the starting of the book of the Torah, wonderful midrash. We're going to continue with the candle lighting, and we'd like to call upon the Zatellis. Turns out Devin is going to become bar mitzvah tomorrow morning, and we're lucky enough to have members of the family with us tonight. If you approach the blessing table, we will continue. Are we going to do a little Debbie Friedman before? Cantor? Are we going to do a little
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Of course. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say Amen. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu le'hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Beautiful. Thank you, and Mazel Tov to you all. Thank you for helping us bring in the Sabbath. We continue now with Lechune Ranena. You can actually find it in your inside part of your handouts. Lechune Ranena, let us celebrate this Sabbath day. We continue on page 17 with Adonai Oz. We continue now on page 19. Voice of Adonai kindles flames of fire. The voice of Adonai convulses the wilderness. Adonai, the voice of Adonai causes hinds to calve and strips forests bare. While in God's temple all say glory. Adonai sat enthroned at the flood. Adonai sits enthroned, sovereign forever. May Adonai grant strength to God's people, and may Adonai bestow on God's people well-being. Continue with L'chadodi, page 20. dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela.
Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'necha ki mekor habracha merosh mikedem nesucha sof maaseh b'machshava techila
Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela.
Lecha dodi likrat kala
b'nei Shabbat nikabela.
Itoreri, ki vorech kumi ori, uri, shedaberi, kevod Adonai, alayich ena.
Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi b'nei Shabbat. We invite you to rise, face the entrance as we welcome the Sabbath bride. Likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela.
Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela.
We ask that you remain standing. Turn to page 27. You can face the bima again. Middle of page 27, just before our call to worship. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Together, teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days. Lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine set my ways. We continue with Baruch Hu, page 28.
Baruch et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach le'olam va'ed, le'olam va'ed. Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la la la.
Top of page 33. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod
May be seated. We continue on page 36 with V'ahavta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך. ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך. וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohechem, amen. Top of 39. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot. I invite you to join me. That wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt. That there is a better place, a promised land. That the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness. That there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Page 40, Mi Chamocha. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace. Raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Hashkivenu, page 42.
Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. Be'amidenu, shomreinu,
As we turn to Yismachu on page 44, we turn to this prayer that charges us, imperative, Yismachu, you will be happy, you shall be happy on Shabbat. We know that's not always possible in respect to our circumstances day to day. It's hard to just turn on and off joy or sadness, but it is the message of our tradition that on every Shabbat, we should try to find an element of joy in our world, to come out perhaps from a place of darkness to a place of light. Hopefully the Shabbat provides you with a little light, a little joy. Yismachu, page 44.
Yismachu v'malechutecha. Yismachu v'malechutecha. Shomrei Shabbat v'korei onei Shabbat. Yismachu v'malechutecha.
Yismachu v'malechutecha.
Yismachu v'malechutecha.
Yismachu v'malechutecha.
Shomrei Shabbat v'korei onei Shabbat.
Shabbat. Shabbat. Shabbat. Shabbat.
Kulam yismeu v'yitangu miraranu mituvacha. Yismachu v'malechutecha.
Yismachu v'malechutecha.
Yismachu v'malechutecha.
Yismachu v'malechutecha.
Shomrei Shabbat v'korei onei Shabbat. Yismachu v'malechutecha.
Yismachu v'malechutecha.
Yismachu v'malechutecha.
Yismachu v'malechutecha.
Shomrei Shabbat v'korei onei Shabbat.
It's been a while since we did that together. We're going to turn to Tefillah on page 46. Tefillah moves from page 46 through page 52. You can feel free to go at your own pace and follow along with the cantor on your own. Please rise once again as you are able.
Adonai, sifatai tiftach, ufi agitei latacha. Adonai, sifatai tiftach, ufi agitei latacha. Oh God, open up my lips as I begin to pray. Oh God, open up my lips as I begin to pray. Adonai, sifatai tiftach, ufi yagitei latacha. Adonai, sifatai tiftach, ufi yagitei latacha. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibur v'Hanora, Elohei
כי בוא לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומדום מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה. ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני לחיי הכל. אתה קדוש כשמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
May be seated. Continue for a few moments in quiet reflection, silent prayer, however you wish to spend this given time. See it as found time to meet this moment however you wish. We'll return again with a song for peace.
Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam.
Page 60.
Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon, lechol hashalom.
We now turn to Tefillat Misha Berach on page 253. We think about those in our community who are in need of healing of the body, healing of the spirit. Think about Ro Allen and Claire Mengele Linder, Kristen Barnes, Ruth Berger, Rosalind Brooker, Ellen Brooks, Amy Cohen, Linda Craig, Josh Daniel Poor, David Drazen, Rabbi Jim Egolf, Ezra Ellenbogen, George Fendel, Eric Fisher, Nina Fisher, Dr. Michael Foreman, Mary Freeman, Anna Greenfield, Kara Greenwald, Sonia Goldfarb, David Goldfein, Rafi Hami, Lev Heschel Ben Batamivi Akov, Robert Jackson, Rebecca Jacobson, Ethan Kadish, Linda Kahn, Sheldon Caffin, Patricia Kipstool, Marla Lakin, Maya Lappin, Tommy Lefkowitz, Charlie Lewis, Suzanne Luria, Ashley Marino, Jennifer Russell McGee, Scott Miller, Barbara Misney, Olivia Nafa, our Rabbi Robert A. Nosenchuk, Carol Plank, Paula Platt, Jewel Price, Gail Ray, Bernice Reef, Joseph Rocchio, Gloria Rogan, Cheryl Roseman, Ben Rosa, Frank Rubin, Gordon Safran, David Schlein, Stephen Schlein, Alan Schwartz, Bob Schwartz, Sharon Schwartz, Greg Selker, Mona Senkfor, Steve Shacknow, Pat Singer, Linda Snyderman, Estelle Slutsky, Alexia Stern, Michaela Stern, Liviana Bree Solzer, Harold Tickton, Darrell Tyndall, Brenda Tinker, Misha Tsaitlin, Alan Tuckerman, Elaine Weiss, Angel Wissner, Alyssa Williams, Sophie Williams, Richard Wilson, Isabel Wolf, Eliza Bat Yitzchak, Chaim HaKohen Vizelda Jenny, Kayla Bat Pesach, Miriam Mordechai, Ben Pena. So many names on this list for healing, and we know, unfortunately, that it is not exhaustive. At this time, we're thinking about all those here who you hold dear to you, who you're praying for their healing, for their recovery. Thinking about those who are watching on Streamcast right now, and you're thinking about your loved ones. We invite you to mention your name, even if you're in your living room or wherever you're worshiping with us tonight. We want to also give you a chance, for those who are sitting here in the sanctuary, to mention the name of someone you're praying for their healing. So as I move my hand through the congregation, I invite you to share a name if you wish, or you can just share that name in your heart. We also think about those who suffer from maladies that can be felt but not always seen to the human eye. We think about those who suffer from depression, anxiety, addiction. We hold them close. And if you yourselves are worshiping with us tonight and you are in need of healing, we want to hold you close at this time. Page 253.
And let us say, Amen. Mi shebeirach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
From prayers of healing to blessings of joy. We want to take this time and acknowledge those in our community who are celebrating milestone birthdays, anniversaries. We want to recognize, and you're welcome if you're here in the sanctuary, you're welcome to stand at your seats so we can acknowledge you. Jerry Domsick, Michael Markoff, and Phyllis Penn, you are celebrating milestone birthdays. Mazel tov to you all. And happy anniversary to Leslie and Brian Jeffries, Phyllis and Jerry Penn, and Cheryl and Jacob Siegel. All right, fantastic. I want to, okay, so Phyllis and Jerry, where are you? I thought I saw you. How many years? 55 years, fantastic. Mazel tov. Cheryl and Jacob? 10? Fantastic. That's just as good. And now you have something to strive for, the 55%. I do not believe Leslie and Brian are here, but they may be watching. So mazel tov, Leslie and Brian. Want to take this time, too. It would be a lost moment, Devin Zatelli, if we didn't acknowledge. It's not a milestone birthday and anniversary, but it is a milestone life cycle event, becoming bar mitzvah tomorrow morning. We're so proud of you. And it's important for us to say that before tomorrow ever happens, we're proud of the effort you've put in. So you can rise at your seat too, if you don't mind, and we can acknowledge you. Anybody else celebrating a milestone of any sort? All right, well, let us honor you with a Shehechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
Shehechianu v'kiyamanu
v'higianu lazman hazeh. Amen.
Mazel tov to you all. May there be many more blessings to come. Thank you, Devin, for letting me embarrass you.
Rabbi Caruso, forgive me, for some reason, whenever I have the opportunity to lead services at Fairmont Temple, it's a double header. So I will reluctantly say goodbye. I am going to Wiggins, where I consider it a continuing service from Fairmont Temple. Yeah, I'm sorry I can't see you all, hug you all.
We'll miss you, and thank you for being with us. It's always good to be together. Just this past Sunday night, we celebrated Simchas Torah, marking the conclusion of the reading of the book of Deuteronomy and beginning of the cycle of the 5 books of Moses, when we turn to Genesis and the creation of the world. With the help of many who joined us at Temple, the clergy unscrolled the whole Torah, 5 books, one parchment section at a time. We were very careful because they're stitched together very gently. We wanted to make sure that there were people strategically standing and holding the Torah in just the right places. Bless you. So we had the whole Torah going on in almost like one circle until all could see the remarkable breadth of all those Hebrew letters and words that make up the core of the Jewish people's story. It's quite remarkable, even for someone like me who could be, a little bit cynical or jaundiced. I've seen a few Torahs in my day. I've unscrolled a few of them. But there's something remarkable about unscrolling the whole thing and seeing in its entirety from beginning to end and knowing that we have experienced this cycle together. It seemed fitting to be together, holding that precious scroll. The Torah is meant to be interacted with, held, and ultimately discussed, questioned. It is our interaction with the Torah that gives its teachings oxygen and life. Can you imagine if we just kept the scroll in the ark the whole time and never opened it up? It would be some kind of relic. It should be relegated to a rare book collection. It's so much more potent when you open it and you read it. In the very first verses of the first chapter of the first book of the Torah, God creates the heavens and the earth in 6 days, and of course, rests on the seventh, which is why we observe Shabbat. That is the last time we absorbed the Torah story as it was originally conceived by God. That beautiful story, 6 days, very ordered, very clean. And then, the messiness of the Torah begins when humans are created. If it weren't for our darn human beings, the world would be such a different place. Maybe that was a thought that arose in God's mind. God has a plan, but soon God will learn that those very same humans God created with love have the free will to act as they please in the world. Free will is given to each of us. This happens first when we're in the Garden of Eden, when through temptation Adam and Eve take from the tree of all knowledge when they were instructed that was the only tree that they couldn't take from. They are punished and expelled. Fast forward a little ahead to when Cain learned that his offering to God was not as worthy as the offering his brother Abel gave to God, and Cain killed Abel, and Cain was punished. And at the end of this week's Torah portion, the very end, kind of as a precursor to next week's portion on Noah, God once again finds disappointment in all that was created, especially human beings. God actually regrets having made humans in the first place. And eventually, save for Noah, his family, and certain animals, wipes the slate clean. God destroys the earth, wants to start over again. Kenner Sager talked about a midrash, right? A midrash. I'll share another one with you, very short. This midrash teaches that before God spoke the Torah into being, before the God of the book of Genesis, before that very first word, Bereshit, the Holy One, this midrash teaches, was building worlds and destroying them, creating worlds and destroying them again and again and again, until the very creation story we read this week. All of that preceded in the beginning. Turns out, God left out a lot of the original plans, and they remained on the cutting room floor. Even so, in the midst of the incredible creation story, including the fashioning of human beings, it is God who expresses disappointment again and again. Those pesky, darn human beings. Upon a simple reading of the text, one might derive, and generations have done so, that the new humans that God creates are hapless and unable to get anything right. Humans are a constant disappointment to God in this first few chapters, of Bereshit, of Genesis. But I'd like to suggest a deeper reading. It's the Caruso deeper reading, well known throughout the world. Perhaps the burden of guilt, and may I sound a little heretical, might land more on God than commonly understood. It is the lack of God's interactions with humans and God's inability to understand how we operate that creates the impasse. What if we were truly, really far apart from God's understanding of us and our ability to really follow in God's footsteps? God's understanding of perfection can never be duplicated. But that's what God wants. Like a great professional athlete who is unable to coach a team, to those who do not understand the game as that athlete does, God is at a disadvantage when the Holy One seeks to control and mold the creations into a mirror image of God's self. Think about it. There's a reason why Michael Jordan has never coached a team. Sometimes that kind of greatness in a discipline is hard to mirror. If this is evidence that might explain God's distancing from acting directly in the lives of the very people God created, then perhaps we learn something from Dr. Gili Zivan, who wrote, "The more we progress in the stories of the Tanakh in Scripture, the more God's direct activity will decrease." Interesting, right? The more this story of the Jewish people goes on, the less directly involved in their lives God is. This may not be a bad thing. Even though one may have a hand in the creation of another, that doesn't necessarily mean we should allow our expectations to dictate how we should judge them. Few understand this reality more than those who are parents, guardians, teachers, coaches, anyone who mentors or supervises others. If we simply maintain the belief that people should follow in our footsteps, that kids today do not have it as bad as we had it, or dispatch the fiction that back in our times things were simpler and better, then we will never, ever be deemed wise or ultimately respected by those generations. If we project our disappointment onto them, onto younger generations who have not been through as much as we have, who don't know us, who don't know the excellence that we perceive, if we project our disappointment onto them in the way they do their business, and we tell them that they are wrong simply because we don't understand them, we will never grow to be known as wise elders or individuals worthy of learning from. For better or for worse, nothing gets tied up in a perfect bow as we would like it, especially when it comes to our children, the people we guide. It's never a perfect bow. Relationships are complicated. Life is complicated. And one generation can never truly know the inherent challenges posed to another. As a parent, at times I like to pick up this poem by Khalil Gibran. You may know it, called On Children. I just share this little excerpt. Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you. Perhaps Judaism's most intelligent move was to take heed of that lesson, that we have to understand Torah and history in a different way. Judaism created something called oral law. It's our faith's interpretive body of work. It brings to mind the famous story in the Talmud of Hillel and Shammai. Oh, these were very famous rabbis. They were kind of pitted against each other in history, and Hillel won many more of the arguments than Shammai did. But we learn lessons from both of them. They were schools. They actually had yeshivas. When a would-be convert approaches Rabbi Shammai, the searcher asks Shammai to teach him the whole Torah on one foot. Have you heard this one? The whole Torah on one foot. It reads as follows, very brief. On another occasion, a certain non-Jew came before Shammai and said to him, "Convert me, on condition that you teach me the whole Torah while I stand on one foot." Shammai repulsed him with the measuring rod which he had in his hand. The convert would not be detained. He decided to go to plan B. He came before Hillel. Hillel converted him on the spot. Hillel said, "What is hateful to you, do not do to your neighbor. This is the whole Torah, while the rest is commentary. Go and learn it." This famous story is instructive. It is Shammai who understands the nature of Judaism in only one way. He cannot see different ways the prospective convert might need to learn. He does not take the time to learn the motivations of this person, the history, the trauma, the challenges that this individual faced. To Shammai, there is one way, and that's the way he knows, and that's the best and the perfect and the truth. For Hillel, the foundational principles about being good to others, yes, that is given primacy. But when he says the rest is commentary, that's the part that provokes the most interest in me. Hillel is not suggesting that commentary should take second place to kindness, but rather that commentary is Judaism's way of interpreting the world. We can and should use our text to better understand it and the people in it. Oral law teaches us about questions and more questions, and if we keep asking them, the questions get sharper and better, and that's how we improve, and that's how we learn, and that's how we strive towards perfection. Friends, last Sunday, when we held that Torah aloft, there were many little kids there. They were so cute. I certainly hope they will not soon forget the power of seeing the Torah opened completely in one big circle. It was their Torah. But I hope they also regard it as a living piece of history and faith, a text to be interacted with, and that they should find their place in it. Not in the way that the previous generations found their place in it, their way, their eyes, their experience. Even if that may differ from all the people in the world, particularly those who brought them into it. This is such a lesson, such a lesson. Easy to hear, easy to think about in theory, but so often hard to practice. I speak as a parent myself. Oh, but boy, what a great lesson. Because if I look back, the way I understand Torah is quite different than the way those who came before me understood it. It should be the big blessing for me to be able to understand that my children will see it differently and do, and to honor that as well. Amen. Let us continue now on page 282 with Aleinu L'Shabeach. Please rise as you are able.
Aleinu L'Shabeach L'Adon HaKol L'Atei Gedula L'Yotzeh Bereshit Shehu Noteh Shamayim Yotzeh Haaretz Umoshav Yikaro V'Shamayim Ima'av V'lo Sam Chelkeinu Kahem V'lo Hora Aleinu Kechol Hamonam V'anachnu Korim U'mishtachavim Lifnei Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch
You may be seated. We turn to the mourner's Kaddish. We share this reading that precedes it. Page 290. It is a fearful thing to love what death can touch, a fearful thing to love, hope, dream to be and oh to lose. A thing for fools this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me, your laugh once lived in me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings a painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing, to love what death has touched. We take this time now to remember those who have died in the last 30 days in the period of Shiva and Shloshim. We remember Ken Barkus, Lori Blum. David Frank, Iosif Mills, Caroline Ginatazio, Linda Felder, William H. Kahn, Michael Kellner, Jeffrey Sussel, and we remember Ina Kupferberg, who will be buried in the week to come. We remember those who died at this season in years past in the period of Yard Site. We remember Marjorie M. Adler, Estella G. Altman, Sarah Reinthal Bamberger, Shirley Ruth Bassett, Arthur B. Begum, Dave Beyer, Barbara Bletcher, Alva Ted Banda, Judith M. Burns, Simon Chester, Molly Court, Rena Gerson Davis, Dr. Alexander Denizen, David B. Eisenberg, Robert D. Epstein, Maury A. Eston, Herman H. Finkel, Harold Frankel, Seal A. Friedman, Donald M. Goodfriend, Pearl Polster Gould, Eleanor Goulder, Max Green, Eugene J. Greenbaum, Leo Greenberger, Leah Handel, William S. Handel, Samuel Jacobson, Larry Joseph, Dora Kaufman, Sandor Klinger, Ethel S. Corman, Belle G. Korak, Rose Nebel Cornix, Jack Krause, Gilbert Kutash, Sina G. Leff, Dr. Isidore Leonard Levin, Carol J. Lipton, Mildred Altman Loveman, Samuel Mandelker, Sylvia Mansky, Arthur Charles Medley, Carol S. Miller, Alan A. Mishney, Harry H. Nager, Minna Kane Blazer Norman, Richard I. Pollack, Asnat Ozzy Rasher, Harry E. Rogan, David J. Rosner, Dr. Isaac M. Rubin, Morris Sakharov, Richard Schreibman, Melbourne Schwartz, Sanford E. Schwartz, Alex N. Sill, Bessie Snyder, Sterling Stern, Peter Tenenbaum, Pauline Fell-Wallach, Barrington R. Barry Weinberg, Malvina Weinberger, Elaine Rita Weinstein, Elsie Weinstock, Babe Yetta Wilkoff, Ida Wilkes, Julius Winograd, Helen Williger, M. Howard Wyman, Donald M. Zucker, Molly Zuckerman, Minnie H. Zweig. We also remember Leonard S. Brown. To this list, we add the 6 million who perished in the Shoah, those who died in the Holocaust, and we say Kaddish for all those who have no one to say Kaddish for them. At this time, we invite you to rise at your seats so we can know you in your grief if you are mourning for an individual who's passed in the last 30 days, in the past year, in the period of Yard Site. And we invite you now to join our mourners. We turn to page 294 as we rise together for the Kaddish praise. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach hirutei v'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'galau v'zman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach leolam alomei omaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei de kudesha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Hey shalama rabba min shemaya, chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Oseh shalom v'mromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, comfort to all who are bereaved among us, and we say together, Amen. You may be seated. We turn to the conclusion of our services. We'd like to wish you all a Shabbat Shalom. For those of you who've been with us all along on streaming, so glad to have you with us. And we know how powerful the streaming experience is in prayer for those of you who cannot be here in person. And we're so grateful to see so many of you here tonight as well and to pray with you. As always, we have our wonderful Torah study that happens on Saturday morning, Shabbat mornings at 9:15, led by Rabbi Molbaum. We're starting a new Sidra, whole new cycle of the Torah, as per my remarks. And so if you want to start from the beginning, you could do that tomorrow. And if you need the link, just let me know or email Stacy Cohen at scohen@fairmounttemple.org. I'd also like to mention that I think the first time since I've been here, we are going to have a blessing of the pets. Yes, you heard me correctly, a blessing of the pets. That will happen this Sunday morning at noon, October 23rd. Bring your pet and join us for a brief ritual on the back lawn behind our building school wing. And we'd love to create a canine community, a pet community. It could be really any pet you have. So hopefully, if you have a pet and you feel like your pet can handle this, and your pet is Jewish enough to handle this, bring them along. Fantastic. There is an Oneg Shabbat immediately following our services. That's in the atrium foyer just outside of our doors. So even if you can't stay and you want to just move, I think there should be little packets where you can put your cookies in, and if not, you could just take them and put them in your pockets. But feel free to to do that if you wish. We'd love for you to, if you want to hang around for a little bit too, that's fine as well. Wonderful. We are going to continue with our Kiddush and Motzi, and that is found on page 2 and page 5, and the Kiddush and Motzi are down there. So I'm going to say the blessings, but I have in mind that they're down there, and I will share in their delights in a minute. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri agafen. And the blessing over the challah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Te'avon. We conclude now on page 322 with Ein Keloheinu, a classic and a traditional melody. And please, be patient with me as I lead you as your interim cantor for the next 2 minutes. But sing with me, please. Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kemoshienu, Mi Eloheinu, Mi Kadonenu, Mi Kemalkeinu, Mi Kemoshienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Malkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu,
Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, David.